the Kyle Rittenhouse testimony, which is going on right now. He is being cross-examined by the prosecutor in this case. Like many of you, I have been absolutely riveted by the courtroom drama today. We talked about it a lot on the Clay and Buck show. Going to talk about Aaron Rodgers versus Big Bird, inflation at a 31-year high, Yellowstone's monster audience, where is Odell Beckham Jr. going to go, college football playoff committee rankings, all of that to come. But first, let's start with this Kyle Rittenhouse story. To me, there's a lot of noise here, okay? A lot of noise, particularly because, and this is what I always say, when I was in law school, my criminal law professor said there's only three things that matter in any case. The facts, and the facts. That's why I try to focus on the facts. We played a clip. MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, they all convicted Kyle Rittenhouse before he actually had a jury trial. We played a clip this morning where he was called by people on television, on those networks, MSNBC and CNN, a murderer, the equivalent of a school shooter, a 17-year-old vigilante, a domestic terrorist, and a deeply racist murderer. Those are things that were said on CNN and MSNBC about Kyle Rittenhouse. Regardless of what you think, you need to wait for a jury trial to figure out those three things, the facts, and the facts. And Kyle Rittenhouse took the stand today, and I thought Buck Sexton made a good point. One reason he wanted to take the stand was not to be found not guilty, but to be found innocent of wrongdoing via self-defense. And let me explain some things. There's a lot of noise in cases like these. Kyle Rittenhouse, by the way, Kenosha, Wisconsin, in the middle of the riots, 17-year-old kid takes a gun and goes out into the streets to try to protect businesses because the police were not, in the fire department, responding adequately. This is the summer of riots all over the country when basically people just said, hey, let's let them burn themselves out. We'll let rioting happen everywhere. We'll let buildings be ransacked. We'll let businesses be burned down. All of that was going on. So I want to start with this. I've got three boys, a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And by the way, I am taking them all to the Georgia-Tennessee game this weekend in Knoxville, which is where the Outkick bus tour will be. We will be broadcasting from Calhoun's down on the river by the Vol Navy. All of you are welcome to come. We'll be live from 10 to noon on the big noon kickoff. You can come see me. You can come hang out. The Outkick bus will be parked there, okay? So let's start there. But I would have told all my kids, there's no way you guys are going to be out in the streets protesting, protecting, involved in any way in what is likely to be a very violent evening in Kenosha, Wisconsin. But that is not what this trial is about. The question at issue in this trial is simple. Did Kyle Rittenhouse have self-defense as a defense when he shot three different people, two of them who died? That is the only question that is at play here. So lots of people get wrapped up in the why was he there? I wouldn't have been there if I was him. All of those things are not directly related to his defense claim, which is I was defending myself from what I perceived as an attack from the three people that I shot. Based on the evidence that I have seen, the videos, the testimony of the survivor who says that he had pointed a gun at Kyle Rittenhouse when he was shot, based on all of those statements, I believe there's a very strong chance that Kyle Rittenhouse self-defense claim will win the day in the court. Now, you never know what a jury is going to do. It's also important to acknowledge that a jury sits and watches every single moment of the trial. But you can consider what is going on from court activity from the prosecution and the defense. And if you watch the proceedings today, as Kyle Rittenhouse took the stand, the prosecutor was basically throwing up Hail Mary after Hail Mary. In fact, there is a possibility that we may get a mistrial with prejudice over prosecution statements regarding what Kyle Rittenhouse said since the incident that took place, the shooting. And you aren't allowed to reference a alleged defendant's invocation of his Miranda rights, of his right to get an attorney, as a reason that he is guilty, okay? That's basically what the defense did. And so, what the prosecution did. What the defense did was make a motion for a mistrial with prejudice, which is different than a regular mistrial. Let me explain the difference here. A regular mistrial is where the court has to have a new trial because there was an element that was not permissible that occurred inside of the original trial. But it allows you to go back and basically redo the case. What is not permissible is for the side that is losing, maybe the prosecution in this case, to intentionally create a mistrial to try to get a new opportunity to get a new jury and to go back and redo the entire case. Which is why the defense here has made a request of the jury, who has been lacerating the prosecutors all day over their behavior, has made a request for the jury, and this case, for there to be a mistrial with prejudice. A mistrial with prejudice means that the prosecution can never bring these claims again because of their own misbehavior in the initial trial. And the reason why it would exist is you don't want someone to intentionally get a mistrial and then benefit off of their intentional attempt to get a mistrial, right? So that is what is going on right now. This case, again, as we speak, Kyle Rittenhouse still on the witness stand being cross-examined. We played a lot of it for you during the Clay and Buck case. I have not yet seen the prosecution have any success on any of their questioning of Kyle Rittenhouse. In fact, the prosecution has really been a mess in general. I'm not even sure exactly what their theory of the case is that they have been able to make any sense of. I think their theory of the case is Kyle Rittenhouse went to Kenosha with the intent to kill people, and there is no basis for his self-defense claim. That is their claim. I don't think that claim is likely to have a great deal of success, but that's what's going on right now with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. If you are fascinated by this or interested in our analysis, you can go download today's Clay and Buck show and hear us talking a lot about it. Certainly we'll be talking about it tomorrow whenever Kyle Rittenhouse's testimony ends and we have the closing statements that are made by the prosecution and the defense. Then it will be to the jury, and we will determine what the actual findings of fact from the jury are as it pertains to Kyle Rittenhouse and whether he's guilty or not guilty.